Okay, hello everyone. It's me again, Hani Haida, Program Manager at the UBI part. We're almost there. The pitch rehearsal is next week, and pitch day is right around the corner on 3rd of October. And we're more than happy to welcome Mr. Carl Ziade, who's the co-founder at Gaia, an insurtech company with AI powers. He's going to be talking about the investment landscape and talking about fundraising and how to look at it, how to do it, what are the pitfalls you might fall into, etc. So we're very privileged to have him here with us, and we're looking forward to the kinds of insights that he's going to give, which let's say are outside of the scope of ChatGPT, like real world insights that he got from his experience. Carl, I'll leave the floor to you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. For those of you who are video off, if you have a webcam, turn it on so that we can feel that we're together in one room, thanks to Zoom. And this way we can, get to know each other better. You will feel more comfortable reaching out to me in the future directly if you need help, and I'll be also comfortable engaging you as well on this call. So, good. We'll give it another 30 seconds for most folks to also put their webcams on.
Please, everyone, turn your webcam on. Male, if you don't have makeup, ما بعرف شو, just
لا اللي ما عنده اللي مش حاطط ميك اب بليز خليها اوف.
انا ماي ويب كام بالسياره، يعني اذا بدي هلا اجيبها بدي انزل بصراحه.
لا نو وريز، اذا مستعصي نو نيد يعني، بس انه if you have it.
باسيل مثلا ونديم كلكم، نورا، honesty, Rafiq, the camera on.
Cool. So let's start with a quick round. Each one of you just share with me the top thing, why you're here today. Just one question you feel like you wanted answered on this call. Real quick, rapid fire. ما تعملوا جريدة. So just 10 seconds. شو بتكون? High level.
Best tips and tricks to get fundraising.
Thanks. Next. Abbas Borji.
Find the angels.
Okay.
I think all types of fundraising يعني مش بس equity.
Okay. Let's do 5 more.
I say something that someone already said. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Rafiq as well. Tips on fundraising at an early stage.
Very good.
And I just wanted to say mainly channels to find the angel investors in, other than introductions from people you know.
Excellent. Nadeem, معك كاميرا أو لا؟
Like, to be honest, I'm jumping between two meetings. Sorry, I'm double booked on this. But I'm on my phone on this one.
Cool. Excellent. Great. So let's start. So my name is Carl and عملت computer engineering تبعي بالAUB ببيروت. عملت أول ستارت اب تبعي بلبنان كان اسمها Gasometer. كانت product to do, it's an IoT product لتشوف قد ايه بقى بجرات الغاز بالبيوت and then communicate the results to NatGas and نعمل like the Uber of gas delivery بلبنان وبأفريقيا وبالميدل ايست etc. So that was my first company. Horrible failure in terms of fundraising. Couldn't do it. And then I did a bit of private equity work as a consultant for some funds in the Middle East. But then I went for Stanford Business School. That's where I got mentored by some solid professors يلي بيكتبوا الكتب تبع ventures stuff. The latest one is The Venture Mindset, مكتوب by someone اسمه Ilya. He's a Russian guy. He's a professor at the business school at Stanford. And he goes into what is not really talked about in these industries. He goes through a lot of numbers. He goes through. So I'm going to just share my screen real quick. If you're interested in getting more sophisticated, get this book. I'm sure you can find it as an ebook, and you can get more into the game of how to fundraise, etc. It's The Venture Mindset. It speaks to founders. It kind of helps you put yourself in the shoes of شو الانفستور بده, etc. That's kind of where I come from. وهلا حاليا I'm building Gaia. I took my co-founder بالجامعة هونيك وبلشناها كانت بالأول Airbnb of cars, but then we pivoted into a platform for insurance brokers. الميدلمان اللي بيبيع insurance. We wanted them to also cross-sell car loans. Didn't work out as well. And then we pivoted almost 2 years ago now into software AI powered that is for insurance brokers. It's a productivity tool for them. We're not going to get into what is the company exactly. We're going to just get to the gist of fundraising, which is why you came here today. So I don't have a presentation. I am an ex-consultant, so I'm very good in presentations, but I would rather have a conversation that's engaging with everyone. And I'm gonna try today the spirit of a whiteboarding. So just like بالمدرسة كان يكتبوا على اللوح. I felt like it was engaging for me back then, so I'm gonna just give it a try today with you. So for context, you're here today because you're part of a startup. You're a startup founder, and you might be bootstrapping, but you also want to think that you want to be fundraising. If you're not, if you're like that set against fundraising, ما طعمة تكوني على الكول. I think can do other stuff. And if you're not curious about شو معناتها fundraising, also ما طعمة تكوني على الكول. So for context, you're in the spirit of fundraising, you want to learn it. Second, let's talk about VC in general. Most VCs in general fail. Most VCs are in the business of money in, money out. They raise money, and then they want to bet money, and then they want to try to get back some returns. But when you look at the data itself, most of them actually fail. So from that standpoint, this tells you a lot about the VC industry. يعني to some extent, بس تشوفوا a venture investor, you shouldn't feel أنا when I started my career وتكون investor كنت شوية get intimidated. You know, I need to pull my shit together. I need to have the best things. I need to prove to them that we can do X, Y, Z. But then when I, just got to sit and understand better the industry, I felt like to some extent لازم أنا أشيل مصاري من جيبتي وأعطيه ناوله لأنه to a great extent it's a failed industry. When you look at the average, then most of them they end up closing or not returning money to their LPs. And so from that perspective, it also tells you that they are also on a time crunch. They are not trying to play dirty with other founder, etc. They need to return more money to their investor. That's something very important that us as founders, we neglect in the beginning. VCs need to return money. An LP give them $1 million, they need to return it at minimum 20%. And so they are to return it at 20%, knowing that on average, most of them will fail. To return it at 20%, how do you return it at 20%? They don't go and try to find businesses that will generate 20%. They follow the power law curve. Power law curve is what? Anyone familiar with the power law curve? كيف شكلها بيكون؟
هيدي اللي هيك.
Exactly. Power law curve, it means that you need to find the one horse that will return the fund. It doesn't matter if we invested in 10 companies and 9 of them were miserable and bankrupt. Doesn't matter. If you have one of them that returns 100x, returns the fund. So that's their business model. And that's why they, especially in the early stage, the way they select and screen is very weird. It's very artsy, not really scientific at all. بس أنا نحكي فيها بعدين. That's like a bit of understanding the VC. The later stage are very scientific. So إذا كنتوا Series A, Series B, لا, it's very metric driven. They look at you, they assess you, they assess your revenue, your cost structure, your scaling motion. They try to compare you with other companies, whether locally or internationally. كيف سووا هوليك, كيف انتم عم تعملوا. So it becomes scientific. So later stage investment is a science to some extent. To some extent. فيها كتير FOMO effect, فيها كتير cartel-like mindset. بس في نفس الوقت it's more number driven. مثل growth equity investments. But for early stage is like a fugazi. It's very much like an art. Art. يعني ما في a clear reason why they invest. It's almost like a religion. It's like telling them, go believe in Christ or go believe in anything. It takes that level of irrationality to get them on the board. It's not rational bits and pieces. And so within that realm, one has to think about fundraising as an art piece. And not everyone is an artist to go and achieve a good game within this art, but it can be learned. There are ways where you can develop the acumen to go at it. Now, speaking of art, what do these investors are looking for? Again, you can get all these answers from ChatGPT. I didn't get them myself. I got them from my course, so I'm plagiarizing a bit. What are they looking for? They're looking for team, of course. شو معناتها on their team? They are looking for passionate founders. They are putting for people committed. They want you to see انك حاطط كل efforts فيها. They don't like people who are doing it part-time. They want to know that you've worked together. And basically, it's assume انتم معكم $1 million and you're investing it in someone. You want to know that these people know how to work together. You want to just de-risk everything. بدك تعرف انه بيحبوا بعض ومنهم there to just make a quick exit. They are, loyal. All these stuff that are common sense, they look for them. So all these stuff are under this category. So when you look at how they assess the team, it's really going in nitty-gritty, and they will be asking you a lot of questions that sometimes will feel weird. They will ask for a lot of reference checks to make sure at the individual level you have what it takes. And if you try to fake it till you make it, they will read through you. So again, to some extent, before you fundraise, just make sure أول شيء that you kind of did the internal reflection and figured out that this is what you need. ايش تلعب سمر though على النوتبوك. So and then they want to see you comfortable making the tough decisions. Even if it's your friend you're building with, إذا ما كان عم بيشتغل مزبوط, you need to be comfortable parting ways. So they want to see you having the cutthroat mentality, the tiger mentality, بنفس الوقت the team player mentality, the leadership mentality, charismatic. كل هالقصص عم بيطلعوا فيكم when they're assessing you as a team. And that's the major factor they invest in. 95% من الوقت, this is it. Okay, that's what they report. I don't think it's the truth though. 90% is like, it's like more than 90% the weight on the decision, but that's what they say. I don't think it's the truth. The reason why I think it's the truth is because not when you go into a fundraising round, I didn't feel that they were anchored so much on my background. إنه والله أنا كيف ربيت بلبنان وكذا. They were very much anchored on كيف برد على الأسئلة. هلا maybe they derive the team spirit على كيف برد على الأسئلة, بس بنفس الوقت there is another big chunk of assessing a human that's more like akin to how Google interviews people on the behavioral side that they don't do. So even though they report it's 90%, it's not the case. And so if we want to cut through the noise here, it's all about similarity bias. So if you're in the US, everyone talks about minorities don't get funds. It's true. If you're a black guy in the US, good luck. If you are, now we can feel free here on this call, even though we're recording, but if you are in this category of white guy that went to Yale or Harvard and know all the, golf, etc., people feel relating, and the investor كمان بيلعب هالقصص. So they feel the similarity bias. Now the question is, you need to make sure that if you want the money to also mirror to them what they were to some extent. So انتم بالميدل ايست ما عندكم هالcategories, بس كمان you need to mirror. If you want to take the money of an investor, he needs to feel like he can relate to you. And so that's the shortcut. It's tapping into them and building a very cutthroat relationship that goes beyond just reporting. انه انا اشتغلت بهالشركه كانوا علامات مناح والتيم صرنا بنشتغل سوا 3 سنين. It goes beyond just stating the good stuff and answering all these stuff with a check mark. It's not just about checking these questions. It's about really تفوتوا deeply تحسسون انه they were you, or you're better than them, or them wanting to actually be you to some extent. That's kind of on the team side that I would end with. On the team, that's kind of a bit contrarian. I don't believe it's just about answering all these questions. It's also about getting to the, they say that Vladimir Putin is great at mirroring people and getting them to feel like they love them. But interview تبعه مع whatever her name, one of these ladies from these networks, she said that he made her feel as if she's almost like his mom or almost like his sister, etc. And that's also what it takes to play the strong game in the VC world to get money from them. Now, the second thing is around the products. Of course, you need to have a specific problem. Don't go to them if you think you're not solving a problem. And frankly, the best way to know if you're solving a problem is to know if people are willing to pay for it. I've seen many pitch decks that you guys have shared, and many of you are, of course, pre-revenue. But at the same time, you have a good product already that's out there and people are using it. So big question is, why aren't they paying for it? Like, there is a big chunk of people that are early adopters and you're getting them today. But if they are not willing to pay for it, it's a question mark. Anything, if it's $5 a month, $10 a month, they got to be paying for it, or else not invested interest. It's like, yeah, we're trying things out. And so today in this market, investors are not interested anymore in just tractions. They want to see money coming to the door, even in the early stage side. So problem/product, and it's beyond traction. Show me the money. That's kind of around that piece of problem product. And of course, you need to have an exact pain point. You need to have really indulged into all the workarounds that a user did before. So it has to have a clear pain point. You need to have already known all the workarounds. But you need to be the master of the trade. You need to understand exactly, is that you're solving for people are not able to go to school and there is no bus. You need to have figured out why all the existing bus companies مش موجودين, why their parents can't drive cars, why can't they walk, why can't they run. everything you need to have like an extreme answer to and very detailed. And hey, it's not about the answer itself. It's also about your assertiveness level and how you answer it. Then this investor is not going to go and do and be you. They're not going to go and get the exact answers that you're getting. And so if you come and appear trying to come up with an answer on the spot, that's it, you're out. لأنه, again, they have what, few hours to start assessing you. It's also about how you position your answer and how confident you are in your answer. So a lot of stuff play here when you're pitching the problem, when you're pitching how you're solving, when you're pitching your knowledge of the industry. You can't be arrogant. So إذا من وقت لوقت تغرقهم بالديتاي بس ليفهموا انك مستعد تغرق بالديتاي, or else they will understand and they will smell fishy. 4, around competition. Competition/differentiation, I guess. Here the name is. Same thing. You need to have a very clever eye, and it's not just about putting a fancy slide on your competitor and putting them in a matrix. You need to be very comfortable knowing exactly how their product work, why it's failing, thinking from first principles, why you think people are not adopting it, being contrarian, telling them something they don't know, telling them that you've talked to the hundred of customers that exactly use this competitor product and what they actually say. All of that work, they need to know that you've done it, not just relied on some shortcuts to get to some answers from Gartner technologies. I've seen a lot of companies doing cybersecurity stuff in their pitches, a lot of nice slides around how each company sits, but not enough details around how a user from a big company today is using these cybersecurity tools. We need to know that an investor needs to know this. It doesn't matter how nicely colored your slide is. You can send them a Word doc. But as long as you know the very detail, they want to see that, you don't have to put it in the main deck. You can put it in the appendix. But one has to know that you've done the grunt work of knowing exactly كل الcompetitors تبعك كيف عم بيشتغلوا, how you think you're different, and not only how you're different, how you think you can't be copied.
How
Because
can you
again,
show that?
how can I what?
How can you show what you just mentioned? How can we show it in a clear way? And in a conversation, we can defend ourselves, but we are given a very short time. How can we show that in a smart way in a deck?
Yep. So you're asking about, like, you have limited resources, عندك their attention for 5 minutes. So how do you show it in a deck? You can show it by simply putting in the bottom of the deck more details here, and then ابعتهم على a spreadsheet ربك ما بيقدر يقريها. spreadsheet, ugly spreadsheet. فرجيهم انك عملت انت اناليز وحكيت مع هول الكاستمر، يعني فرجيهم البريون تبعك، فرجيهم الدرافت تبعك that actually let you to conclude this. And don't think that you're doing it like كأنك عم تعمل دفوار بس لإلهم. لا، عم تعملها أصلا كمان لإلك. It will give you the clarity. Sometimes you're married to your idea. You want it to be بهذا الquadrant. But sometimes it's not. So the best way to actually detach yourself emotionally from your product is to actually تحطهم لهالقصص قدامك. So إذا مش موجودين قدامك حطهم. إذا موجودين وعندك إياهم كب لهم إياهم. ما راح يقرون. بس we want to invest, not we, لا عم بقول we, من investor. بس they want to know إنك عارف شو عم تحكي، مش بس جايب لهم شوية سلايدات حلوين. It matters that they see this. It matters that they are afraid of قديشك ديتاييه. It matters انك بس تحكي كلمة you actually can تحكي عليها، تعمل speech عنها for an hour ما تخلص حكي. It matters. It speaks to your authority about the industry. وفrankly if you already have it هيدي الشغلة publish it. ما تبعتها بالبيتش ديك. بعتها قال لهم see the blog. بالبلوج حرق دينهم للشركات، قولوا هاي الشركة عم تعمل كذا والشركة عم تعمل كذا ونحن عم نعمل كذا وwe're building etc. Put yourself out there. شو بتخسر؟ Did I answer your question?
Yeah, perfectly. So it's okay to send an appendix with the deck.
Sure. Appendix as ugly as you can. Why not? بعتهم. قول لهم this is not to be made for you, but if you're interested, good luck.
Okay.
I mean, they
cool.
can upload it to ChatGPT هنا ويسألوه أسئلة، شو هالزلمة شو عم يسألوا كذا، إذا بدهم يكونوا clever.
كارل بدك ناخذ questions as they come ولا بالاخر نعمل؟
Yeah. As they come. It's
طيب
not much nicer
honestly
as they
عندها
come.
سؤال عبير.
Go ahead.
Yes, hi. I have a question about the team and the expectations of investors. So usually when you start your startup, you are more or less specific to the domain or the area. So there's nobody with you, مثلا, for example, in marketing and finance and whatever else. Do they look for that from the very start to have a diversified team? Or do they have different expectations along the different stages your startup is in?
Can you repeat the question? كتير فهمت.
Okay. So نحن بعدنا early. Yeah, so this is early funds.
Into
So
you're the company doing something around therapy, like
yes, yes,
okay.
we are honesty. Yeah. So my question is, usually لما you start your startup بيكون الteam specific to the industry that of the problem that you're trying to solve. The investors, I'm بسأل عن investors, how when they look at the team, do they expect it to be diversified؟ يعني إذا بيكون عندك حدا marketing، حدا tech، حدا finance، تيكون هيك attractive لإلهم، أو they
How early
have.
is your company? How early is your company?
نحن we've been in work at 1 year.
Okay. You have revenue?
Yeah, we have revenues.
Okay. If I'm an investor, I don't care about finance, guys, at this stage. I think you can do the proper work بلا a finance guy. And also marketing are debatable. لأنه today with all these tools out there, you can what I need is hustlers. That's what if أنا عم بحط هلا مصاري بشي company, I need to know بالفيلد تبعك. I need of course to have an expert in these stuff. لأنه you're not building a fluffy thing. You're building, you're touching humans. So يكون عندك expert. So to your point, you need to have your folks. But it's fine if you have someone that's not an expert. If you have someone that is deep hustler, that's like hey انا خيي كان عنده هالمشكله انا وصغير وانا كثير involved وكذا، في يكون عندك personal touches. some other تكون professional touches، في يكون personal touches. بس بنفس الوقت اذا واحد disconnected بده يكون كثير عايشه. انا هلا I'm building SaaS for insurance. I'm not an insurance agent. صار لي بامريكا 5 سنين، شو فاهمني بالانشورنس؟ بعد هلا ما بفهم شو insurance. بس what matters is that هلا اذا بتحطيني باوضه مع insurance experts, I know exactly what's on their mind. I know exactly their problems. I know exactly what they've tried. And they trust me because I've talked to كل الانشورنس agents بالمنطقة. I'm very confident لأنه خلص حلبتها. So it doesn't matter just your background. It matters showing the progression of your knowledge, showing that people trust you, showing that you're an authority, etc. So I wouldn't limit it. No, you need the people that actually come with the brands or the logos or the tenure عملوها بالindustry. And on these other soft side, finance, etc., doesn't matter at your stage. Finance, accounting, like I'm the COO, I'm operations. At this stage, doesn't matter. The founder, everyone is doing operation, everyone is doing finance, everyone is doing marketing, everyone is doing everything at this stage. So that's around the team.
رفيق فرا.
Sure. So, Carl, sorry, أنا basically نحن we're early stage and we're raising our seed round or pre-seed round, and I have on the back of my head that we shouldn't raise from VC funds. We should aim for angel investors, family and friends, and then later on go for VCs. What do you think about that, and if we should approach them the same way or not?
So on the funding source, let's jump into it now. So all these now I was listing on the board are all criteria that they are looking into. هلا بنرجع لهم in a bit. All right. So now let's open something new here, which is funding sources. So funding sources. Look, بأمريكا في عندك a typical thing which is angels, وبعدين بتروح عند pre-seeds VC that is tenured بحط اسمه عليها, and then people get FOMO around, want to match in with that VC, etc. Here's what happened to us, personal experience. Now we went for a very sophisticated VC that backed the competitor of Uber Eats, اسمه DoorDash بأمريكا, and backed many other reputable tech companies, unicorns already. So very sophisticated tier A VC. They are the guys that send the deals to Sequoia, to Andreessen Horowitz, كل big guys. So we have him. And then we got some professors in الجامعة, some people that believed in us, some other Lebanese guys that are in tech that believed in me, etc. But then for the next time, when we fundraised again after the pivot, that early fundraise was for the car loan refinancing we were doing. For the next pivot, which was for the insurance access, I didn't raise from investors. I raised from my customers. So again, to the point around when I saw saying you have a problem and there is a lot of people here in this room that have traction, but not people paying. And my urge to you is get them to pay now, لأنه it's also your sign. Markets are the best truth providers. Markets always say the truth. They never lie.
بس ليك Carl, sorry عم أقطعك, بس what about the philosophy of if you have like a SaaS or any subscription-based thing, or you just grow your user base for the first year till you have like 1 million active users, then you monetize. What about that kind of thing?
This kind of thing أكيد it still exists, but to some extent it feels like after the crash تبع من 23 investors are less interested in backing companies that don't have a way to monetize.
Okay.
It's less and less. هلا يمكن ترجع، يمكن الهايب ترجع انه dry money موجود بعده. بالميدل ايست is also different. ما عاشوا الكرايسيس اللي عاشوها بامريكا as much. بري سيد تو سيد بعد المصاري فاتت بدبي. So I can't comment on that, but to a vast extent investors wants to see from as ASAP money coming to the door. And it's not hard. It's not hard. لأنه think about it this way. If you have now creators in this world عم بيروحوا على Patreon عم بيعملوا أنا subscribe to them for $10 a month for them to generate contact. Are you telling me that you're an amazing startup? I'm going to choose one of them. Which one is doing school stuff? App for people to upload their courses.
Zakir. Or Abbas Burji.
Yeah. Zakir, وينك
Yeah.
Abbas? Abbas.
I'm here.
So Abbas, putting you on the spot for a second. You have many customers now. You have many users. There must be some of them that can pay now and not necessarily just pay because actually they want to pay for the product. Some of them need to love you and some of them need to know where this is going and they want to back you. كأنك أنت يبقى content creator, and it's like paying for both the company but for you and for the team. One has to see it.
Actually, like a user subscribed, she's a master's student. Currently, we don't have content for master's student, but I saw it as a gesture from her, and she appreciate the work we're doing. A couple of days ago, also yesterday, someone bought an annual subscription for her friend. So yeah, we have these kind of gestures, but do we have revenue?
Holiday gestures are not just gestures. I them gestures a master student, but the other users that are using the product is not gesture. And frankly, this is your way to know whether you're solving for a good problem or not. Not to get too derailed. When you have these customers paying, what you will find is that many of them will say, you know what, I want to take a chunk. I want to invest in this. It's helping me. And I actually believe that other students will be onboarding. I'm using you in your case, students don't have money maybe. But the bigger message I'm saying is that every startup book shows you the curve. Cross the chasm. عندك early adopter بعدين whatever بتبلش early adopter. But you also have a subset of these early adopters that want a skin in the game and want to invest anything in it. That's what we did. We raised 25K from 50 customers each. So 25 for 50. We raised like in a safe, كلهم حطيناهم in one pool and they funded us. Now they are our sales advocates. Now they use the product and give me feedback. Instead of going to a customer and telling him I want you to be an advisor هيك ان شاء الله بيعمل لي referral وبيساعدني كبر الشركة. No, instead they invested and now they are working for their money. It's the best way forward. And we're seeing this increasingly happening. In the insurance space, it's very common in the US. The insurance agents have money. In general, SMBs have money in the US. If you're a business owner, إن شاء الله عندك محطة بنزين بأمريكا, you have money, you're a millionaire already. And so if you're a millionaire already, you can put 20K. لا تستثمر بأساس company. That's how it works in the US. But I don't think in Lebanon it's very different. اللبنانية محشيين. Yes, there is a crisis, etc. But you have millionaires بالعايشين بلبنان. You have a lot of villa owners. And these villa owners, they worked somewhere around the world. اكلين الدنيا بافريقيا، اكلين الدنيا باوروبا، اكلين الدنيا بامريكا. لبنان كثير معه مصاري. And so the point being, you have a lot of people that you can be serving. I see a question on B2C, no B2B. It's not true. I'm B2B. I'm B2B, and we charge our biggest client pay in the six figures today. And so that's kind of what we see, and I think it also applies لكم بلبنان. لو حتى ما عندكم المارشيه تبع امريكا، الماركت تبع امريكا. Lebanon is a globalist. If you tap into the globalist, this could be a great way for you to scale, but not only this, to raise. هلا في عندكم غير قضية بلبنان, which is the way you fundraise is different. We can talk about it, but sorry, I شطحت شوي بالجواب, بس I hope that will helpful to you.
Carl, I have a question regarding the pricing. You just mentioned students usually don't have the ability to pay. Do you think we should lower the price to a point where anyone can afford it, and then see if they're willing to pay for this minimum price?
No, I think you need to make it more expensive even. And not only this, I think you need to target their parents, you need to target the school, you need to target the professor. You're paying $100,000 at AUB to get your engineering degree. You can go for a boot camp تتعلم ب3 أشهر computer science وتروح تشتغل بأني any company you want. شو اسمها هيدي ببيروت 42. It's great. It's better
42
than any
Beirut.
computer engineering degree. روح عليها بدل ما تدفع $100,000. People don't do it. People pay the $100,000. It's expensive. All you want is people to pay $1,000, right? $100,000, no brainer. And so no, in fact, I would find ways to even make it more prestigious. Don't go cheap. Your product should be amazing. I mean, ChatGPT already helps me أنا a lot to run my business. I wonder إذا أنا كنت student how it will help me. I wonder إذا فيك تساعدنا نعمل exercises وتساعدني أفهم أكتر. I wonder how you can do it. But also, this is another question. To what extent your product is needed in the realm of ChatGPT? Maybe للعربي أحسن بتعمل upload documents etc. I don't know. بس يوم ChatGPT or ChatGPT 01 إذا بطلع لها الماتيريال تبعي as a PDF, it can help me already. So that's also around to what extent your product is needed, but I don't know. So I'm now just conjecturing. I don't know your product exactly well.
Yeah, I got your point.
Noor, did I answer your question around B2C, B2B? They require a little more than MVP. Not really. You can always start with one pain point, بعدين تطلع منه وتوسع أكتر. And if you solve for one pain point, you get توسع أكتر. Of course, you can always imagine that you want to build a big platform. But مش ضروري. بالأول solve for one pain point. And that comes down to how you do hypothesis driven development. Your first hypothesis is that عندهم هاي المشكلة حليتيها عم بيستعملوها مش كلهم استعملوها لانه بدهم اياك تعملي كل القصص اتس فاين بس في مجبور يكون في صنف عم بيستعملها. What do they get back in return if they invest? مين investors? That's the
No, we're
question.
talking about I think Zakir, and you say the current clients can also invest. So my question is, what do they get back
Two
for their
things. So the way we did it, it's a safe. So okay, let's talk a bit just about funding instrument for a second. You can see my screen, right? You have SAFE, which is simple agreement for future equity. This is
كلكم هلا تكونوا familiar بالسيف. إذا ما تكونوا familiar مع السيف في مشكلة.
We know
Sorry,
safe.
Carl.
We know safe.
Everyone knows SAFE, مظبوط? Okay.
Yeah.
So SAFE is basically like a debt instrument that with no interest rate and no requirement to return the money. It's beautiful. You can raise money on it, and then the only way your investors can take back the money is if you raise a second round. If you raise a second round, that round will be priced. So بيجي حدا بيقول I'm going to give you 5 million at a valuation of 20. So your valuation is 20. Now that your valuation is 20, what the safe money will convert. All right. So all these, when I said all these small folks, in the case of Zakir, in the case of Zakir, as a student invested, it's going to be kind of, I don't know, like to what extent when you safe, but I don't know exactly how it works in Beirut, but there is also another company doing Kickstarter, right? Stuff like fundraising, crowdfunding.
مظبوط.
So maybe تستعمل Sandwalk, and then you give them something back in the future, whether it is shares, you promise them with shares, with something like this, you know? You can always theorize something that will give them the feel that they invested in you.
Okay.
Reach out to us, Abbas. We'll be happy to help.
Guys, you know what safe is? Do you know exactly how a safe converts or not?
لا فوت فيها.
Okay, so safe, let's say I come and I say I'm gonna raise 500K on a safe. Okay, now and then 2 years down the line, raise 5 million at a valuation of 20 million, meaning the new investor took 25% of the company. Okay, the question is how the safe conversion will convert then. There are two things. This 500K on a safe either comes at a discount, say 20% discount, or actually comes with a cap. Say a cap of 10 million. شو معناتها? In this situation, the second round that you raise at 20 million, what will it happen? The previous investor that invested the 500K will say, 500K, divide by 20 million to determine how much we get from your company? No, because we had the cap on the valuation of 10 million. So divided by 10 million, and we actually now own a dish 5% of the company.
But this is before
now,
right? When you convert
this is what?
في extra, when you convert بصير في dilution على 5%.
No, that's it. Like it's like you own five, like, because this is post money. So this مش هلا فوت بالدباب post money pre money. You guys can chat with ChatGPT about it. But high level, حضرتك if I take on 5 million later on at 20 million valuation, they take 25%. So these guys here will say, okay, 500K, and I take a 10 million. This is me 5% لإلي. Merci, and I invested in you 2 years ago, and that's my gesture. Instead of converting me at 20 million like this investor that came back in 10, who's taking less risk than me, you're giving me a way to cap that valuation. Now, as a hidden investor came in 2 years and you guys didn't do so great, and let's say they valued you at 8 million and gave you 5 million, this means they took, I don't know how much. Let's say they valued you at 5 million. Let's say they gave you 1 million and valued you at 5 million. What will happen then? 5 million is less than 10 million, the cap about early investor. So the early investor, and they will say, oh, we're going to convert at 5 million. So the safe will convert at the minimum of the valuation cap and the valuation itself of the second investor. Okay, so converts at minimum of valuation cap, comma, valuation of second investor.
وليك
Okay.
كارل انت like بالسوق عندك are you we know كانوا بلشوا بالبري ماني سيف وقلبوا بوست ماني بس صار في مشاكل نوعا ما هونيك انت بالسوق عندك في kind of عودة على البري ماني ولا it's mostly post money these days؟
اللي عم شوفه بوست ماني is just اسرع المات بس في كم founders بيجوا to negotiate. هي بالنيغوشيشن بتصير بعدين بالتيرم شيت سيريز A سيريز B. You're trying to pull everything. You want to discuss liquidation preference, which is liquidation preference هو in the event of an exit قديش بدك تحمل انفستور وتعمل تبعت له مصاري بالاول قبل ما انت as a founder تاخذ. هذه هي basic liquidation preference. So في كثير قصص negotiation lever. So one of them فيها تكون لا بدنا اياها pre money مش post money. So تلعب العاب بعدين تشد.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
So this is kind of converts at minimum, or you have second thing, which is discount. So let's say, actually, let's get back to the first example. I took 5 million at 20 million. Okay. So in that situation, you convert at, let's say you're not going to convert at the cap, you convert at the discount. Should discount 20%. So 20 million minus 20%, that's already 16 million. So you can convert 500K at 16 million, 16 million being 20 million minus 20%. Or you can convert 500K at 10 million. The choice is for the investor, which will for sure take the maximum stake.
Doesn't he also take a discount when he's converting at the lower than the cap? Because it's not fair for the first investor to invest at the same valuation of the new investor.
So هيدا اللي عم بقوله. You have two methods to convert the safe. You have discount and you have cap. The cap أعطيتكم example كيف. هلا عم نحكي عن الديسكاونت. كيف الديسكاونت بيشتغل؟ Let's say عندك 20%.
Isn't it the minimum cap plus the discount? So هي مثلا عم بيرجع هو
لا
يستثمر at 5 million plus a 20% on the 5 million.
That early investor will convert at the best valuation for themselves. And what is the valuation for themselves? بيطلعوا على الكاب. In this case, إذا بتعمل at the cap, you will convert 500K at 10 million, meaning you'll get 5% of the business. The other one, you convert 500K at 16 million in this example, meaning you get less than 33% of the business. So less than 3.3% of the business. So, أكيد الانفستور هيقول, okay, I'm going to choose this. Thank you. So it's and or. So the end result is that the cap, this is how it converts. Discount, بنعرف كيف it converts at valuation minus discount. And then end result equal to max stake that you can get either from the cap or the discount. This is kind of the formula of how it works. Cool. This is for the safe. We're not going to get too much into
and or مش or بس.
لأنه or كأنك عم بتقول you can either have a safe that is a discount or you can have a safe with a cap. However, you have safes that have both a cap and a discount. In that situation, the investor will convert at what makes the most sense for them, which is more stake. Next, let's move forward. So this is for funding instruments just a bit. Now let's talk about exit strategy. هيدا الانفستور بس تحكوه عم بفكر كيف بده يعمل منكم مصاري. IPO is not the only way. Very few of you here today will IPO. Many of you will be acquired. Many of you will just will fail, and many of you will end up being a lifestyle business. All right, that's kind of like 3 categories. So I think in the Middle East they think a lot about acquired. لأنه the IPO market is not so liquid. منه مثل بيوروب وبأمريكا. It is getting more liquid, but acquisition is still like the preferred method, I feel. And if I'm an investor, that's how I would think. So you can't, have a slide in your slide deck saying, this is what we're building, and by the way, this is how we're hoping to exit in 5 years. It's weird. لأنه كأنك أنت عم بتكون mercenary. بدك تكون ميسيونير، بدك تكون missionary مش mercenary. هاد جيف بيزوس بيقولها. So mercenary, missionary, not a mercenary. So can't detail it in your pitch. But you can be smart about it. You can build meeting when they ask about the industry landscape. You can say, for example, well, بالindustry تبعنا بالcyber security, you have I don't know if on the call with us we have the access of team. Is the access of team with us? No. There is one company, iPark team, that we're working with now. It's one of the software providers, معنا بGaia. It's and what they do is kind of access management to some websites. If you have a remote employee and you want to give them access to your accounts, you can limit what they can access to. So in that situation, knowing who are the big players in this industry, for example, knowing that a big company like Island.io with billions raised and with all these markets, knowing about them and mentioning that they have acquired 2 to 3 other companies before, it's kind of you're telling the investor في مجال انشراء in the future, and that helps. It helps you, but you can't say that ايه بدي اعملها بعد 2 بدي ارتبعها لانه it's recorded, sorry for the word, but it's kind of like positions you as if you're trying to go for a quick buck. It's their job to go for the quick buck. Your job is to be a very passionate lover. That's kind of what I'm trying to say here. That's kind of for exits. We talked about funding stuff. I guess the last thing about funding is not to fund when you need the money. Fund way before. The job of a CEO is to always make sure there is capital at hand, to get all the other resources, the human resources, the tech resources, etc. So CEO job is 50% making sure you have money. Unless you're bootstrapping, then your job is to also do a lot of sales, a lot of hiring, etc. But CEO job, especially later stage, so 50% is making sure you have money. That's like 30% of duty, let's say. Duty early stage. But then when you are, let's say, I have a lot of founders that we are friends with that are Series B now. So Series B, CEO بيسكر Series B, and then all he does for the next year is talk to Series C Series C investors. The question is, شو بتحكوا? It's constant sharing with them شو product. And that's kind of where I want to take it next, which is around how you build a relationship with investors. All right, so let's share now some tips on that. By the way, feel free to interrupt if anyone has a question now. So, relationships. Good. So on the relationship side with investors, networking is key, right? Networking مش معناتها you need to go to all the events and be pretentious about liking them and smiling to them. Doesn't get you anywhere, this behavior. I've done it before. I've seen many people do it, and everyone still does it. When we say networking, it's beyond this. Of course, you need to be at some of the functions, some of the events where they are, but you try to be a bit تقل حالك شوي. At the end of the day, human behaviors always respond to playing it hard to get. All right? Many of you have dated here. You know how the dating world works. You need to play hard to get. You can't just be all كابي بحالك. And so hard to get still applies here. It's hard, especially when you need the money. وتكون ميت يمكن تخسر موظفينك بكره. But you still have to display this level of انك انت اعلى منها للشغله. You're a bit hard to get. It's important. When you're hard to get, people run after you. People want to talk to you. People want to know about your product, want to know about your solution, want to know why you're so confident, want to know why you're not stressed like them. An investor is very stressed. They need to return money. Why is this founder who has no money is not stressed? He has something special. I want to talk to him. So play hard to get. 2, position yourself to be introduced. Don't go hey انا اسمي كذا عم نعمل هالشركه كذا. لا، خلي حدا يجي يعرفك. تعب يعني engineer it in a way such that انت ما عم بتروح. Let it feel like you're of equal. It matters especially in your countries, in our countries بلبنان. بأمريكا it's a bit less. يعني ما في عندك هيدا judgment perspective مثل بلبنان. بس بلبنان كثير مهمة. Be introduced. Position yourself to be introduced. Don't waste time on associates. في كتير funds عندهم كتير associates are SDRs. SDR is someone who's trying to build a pipeline. You don't want to be in a pipeline. You want to be very friends with the seniors. How do you position yourself to do this? Very hard. But the best way to position yourself is to be at this level of conversation where you're beyond the SDR. Meet SDRs. I'm not saying meet associates. I'm not saying don't meet associates, but let them talk. Meet with associates, but let them talk. Let them tell you about السينيور شو بدهم يشوفوا, what kind of deal. قديش بيحبوا يكون ال LTV to CAC ratio. فهم. Approach an associate conversation as if you're learning, not them learning about you. All they want is to have a pipeline. الدفوار تبعهم هو كل جمعة يقدموا 10 new companies. You don't want to be 1 out of 10. You want to be the one that وصلت للسينيور by a referral from a big customer that's friend with that senior. That's what it takes. You have to take at some point call with associates, but don't spend too much time getting ready for them. Treat them as your SDRs. That's kind of my message here on this topic. I mentioned in the beginning that you need to be doing some mirroring, and that's very important. Mirroring. Why? Because at the end of the day, similarity, bias dominates human. The last thing that I think is also helpful.
Sorry,
Sometimes
sorry, Carl. I think I missed mirroring. What do you mean by mirroring?
mirroring means I used a bit of a political explanation in the beginning around how Vladimir Putin conducts himself around other world leaders. You can go a bit read about it, how he conducts
Oh,
himself.
okay, yeah.
Very smart, very intelligent. لأنه بتحس إنه he's throwing on you a warm carpet. بتخبره كل شيء كأنه خيك العزيز من الطفولة. And so that's also what it takes. You need to have like this mirroring, like مش عم بقول يعني تصير fake, بس في نفس الوقت you need to let them feel that they are like you. And but don't forget, many investors, especially the associates, deep inside, they ask themselves, why am I not building? Because you are the tigers in the room. Into tigers, you're putting everything at risk. You're betting your farm. They are getting money, good stuff, but they are not betting. And everyone likes to think of themselves as a risk taker in this life. So somehow when you are with them, they want to be you. They don't say it, but they want to be you. And so you can play a bit انه تحسسهم انه وظيفتهم كتير مهمه, انه ايه والله حلو هالديل وكذا, فيك تساعدهم يجيبوا البايب لاين. يعني ما دام ما انت تتعذب تعمل البرزنتاسيون الاخت شليته لواحد اسوسييت, you can actually help him enrich his شو بده بايب لاين, جيب له بايب لاين, جيب له other founders that you actually believe in them, that you actually believe somehow in them. The best way also to get into the seniors is to refer to them deals. If you met a senior guy and you have a friend that's building something that you would invest your money on, don't refer any friends that you have just like a friend. Refer someone you actually feel it's good. Refer. They will see you. اسمك ببين بالايميل. هيدا الزلمه عم بيبعت لي, عم بيعطيني, لو حتى كان بيقري في الديل, it's fine. يطلع بيقري في الديل, بس in the beginning make sure انه يكون الديل مرتب. Refer to them, help them. لانه when you come back later on, etc. Now this is on networking, but the most important bit is keep them in touch. Keep them close. انتوا هلا you're building, you might not be the growth, يعني honesty, you might not need now growth money. You might not be raising now $5 million. But from now, get to know the investors who invest $5 million check. Keep them close. Put them on your newsletter. مش بس newsletter. Make sure you're there to have a 20-minute chat to share with them updates. People like it. People like to see your progression. They like to see what you've learned. لأنه ساعتها بعد سنتين بس تخزيهم for 5 million, you're not a new, منك غريبة. No, you've been there. You've been there وشافوا كيف طلعتي ونزلتي بكل طلعاتك ونزلاتك. They like it. So from now, treat fundraising as a lifestyle, as a marathon. Invest. So حلو هيدا نكتبها هون. Treat it as a marathon. It's not a sprint. Most of the time we treat it as a sprint. لازم نجيب مصاري in the next 3 months لحتى كذا كذا. No, it's more of a marathon. What else do I have in my notes for you? One of the things I know about the Middle East is that Series B, Series A is harder than seed and pre-seed. But the good thing for you is that this AI wave might actually remove the need for a Series B. لأنه you can build very efficiently now. You can, today our software engineers بقايا before this release of all this stuff and after the release, we can confidently say they are 3 times delivering. Productivity increased by the roof. So today to ship product fast, you can ship it fast with existing team member and with less money spent. So good thing for you is you might never need it. That's what I would say. The other thing is that on advisors that I want to leave you with as well is one of the things in the beginning when we shifted into selling to insurance brokers طل حكينا مع كل التك founders and I do a lot of talking كل يوم أنا بحكي مع كل competitors تبعي I have them on speed dial بنحكي كل يوم لو حتى we're competing we talk keep your competitor close tell them your secrets tell them يعني you will never retain power لأنك والله ما عم بتخبره إنك عم بتفكر تعمل X Y Z doesn't matter when you tell you will gain back there is not really a secrecy with ideas it's all about execution at the end. Don't forget, Elon Musk open sources كل شيء بيعمله. SpaceX is open source. Tesla is open source. Even the
Can I have a question
creator.
on that regarding
Go.
Carl, you mentioned something very interesting here. So a lot of investors here are so keen on the IP and the intellectual property patency, and you just mentioned the opposite. So what's your take on that? Because we're receiving a lot of comments on this.
Yep. I think even if you have an IP, it's very hard to execute on it. Very hard. I mean, إذا عندك IP بلبنان أو الميدل إيست و someone breached it, good luck. شو بدك تعمل؟ بدك تروح هلا على القضاة ومدري شو تقعد تعمل معارك؟ You're a startup, you're a nobody. ما معك ليرة. So what? You have a patent.
My question is, would we even bother to have a patent? Because I don't believe in it, but some investors put this as a condition to invest. So how much should we spend on this point, or should we neglect it?
I don't have an answer to it. At the end of the day, I don't know exactly قديشك restraint for capital قديشك مضطر تعمل اللي بدهم اياه لتجيب مصاري. You gotta do what you have to do at the end. ما في حدا يقول لك شو بدك تعمل. أنا كمان I don't believe in it. We've had some calls where some people asked us, how do you make sure it's defensible? Is it going to be trademarked, etc.? And our answer was very shrewd and very certain that ما في ما لها لزوم. I think that even in the Middle East, you will find investors that will understand إنه ما لها لزوم ما لها طعمة. And if they really want it, بدهم يحطوها condition, قول لهم yeah, post investment, we will make sure to spend resources وجيب حدا. يعني consider it as if you're losing money. عم تخسر فهمي $20,000 لحتى يجي واحد يعمل لك patent لحتى يرضى لأنه بضطر تاخذ مصرياته. But don't do it to take the money. Before you take the money, don't do it. Then they might be asking for it just to say, look, many of the time in these investor conversations, they want to sound as if they are telling you something new. And sometimes في عندك مثل roller deck of cards, you can always say, one of them is, did you patent? One of them is, do you integrate? Do you one of a lot of stuff that are just كأنه عم بيتذكر يسألوك أسئلة بس without meaning it. Because an investor is not gonna write you a check for sure. Don't do it if you don't believe in it. That's what I would say.
Okay, thank you.
So on advisors, one of the things I said it earlier a bit, there is can it be iPark for 6 months, for 3 months خلفت مرتي ونزلنا على لبنان عم بدنا الصبي تحت etc. So هيدا كانت بين فبراير وماي. So بس نزلت حكيت مع كثير عالم باي بارك and one of the common theme was that خصوصا بس رحنا على الايفنتس شفت كثير عالم they are either bankers or consultants, they sit on some boards and they approach the companies, the early stage companies بيقول لهم yeah, I have some connections in this industry, let's discuss, and then بيصير الفاوندر عطلان هم شو بدي اعطيه advisory share وعم بحك راسه. I don't think that's valuable. Most of the time there is a lot of people who are charlatan. I don't know what charlatan exists in English, but they pretend they know a lot of people. It doesn't matter if they know them. What matters if the other guy knows them. Rarely do they know them. And so for me, advisory share should be given as a gesture من بعدها مش as لا أعمل لك أعطيني advisory. That's how I perceive it. And if someone is not willing to do it, معناتها they are not going to be there for you. If someone is not going to be doing it because they like doing it, man, no one is just the profession. ما حدا عنده بس وظيفته يكون advisor. In the early days, people who are investing in you a time, they will do it even if you give them nothing in the beginning, because they are curious about seeing whether you have what it takes. If they are not in that spirit, معناتها they are not tigers, and معناتها they are not going to help you become a tiger yourself if you're not one already. And so this is for me waste of time. All these ex-consultants who are on some boards in some banks شو بدهم يقولوا؟ بيوقفوا بالبورد يقولوا ايه باي ذا عندي شاب رفيق يمكن بيعطينا solution. You can get it in another way. You can be more clever around it. I think this rarely opens doors. I might be wrong, but in general, and I'm opposed to it. I feel like if someone really believes in you, they can be compensated for the gesture afterward, and they can trust you that you will do it in the future. If they don't trust you that you will do it in future, they will not trust you enough to put your name out there in these tough rooms where your name need to come up. That's how I see it. Any questions so far?
Is it fine if we screenshot the board?
Much of it. Screenshot the board, meaning this thing, what we're doing.
Yep.
How do I do it? White exports PDF. Nice export.
Is the complete legal setup of the company necessary to start raising funding, or we can start with the safe even before having the company established?
Who's asking the question? Sumar. No, I mean, no, I think you have to have the company existing to raise. So, I mean, you can go and negotiate the terms وكل شيء بس يطلع لك المصاري ما حدا يعطيك سيف على personal bank account تبعك. Grants, you can get grants على personal bank. I did get a grant back in the day for gasometer على personal bank account. ما كان عندنا company bank account back then. بس for لا safe بدك شركة. And it's easy to get شركة. You can go it, or you can register now any company online, even انت من لبنان.
Carl, one more question. Hi.
Hi.
صباح ذكرتني.
ذكرتك ايه؟
ليك كارل سؤال. Is there a wrong time to fundraise?
Yeah, we did fundraise at a very wrong time. لما كان نعمل car loan refinancing بالأول, we had a big ass company كان عندهم 500 locations بأمريكا, and they installed our software ليبيعوا car loans, refinancing للcar loans. So كنا محمسين, we landed this pilot, يلا we're gonna raise 2 million وكتيرا وفتنا فيها, بس our fundraise started in November. بأمريكا في عندك Thanksgiving وبعدين Christmas وبعدين New Year. كانت ميتة يعني. I had 100 investor calls بس ما حسيت حدا له جلد يشتغل بقى. So it was bad time. في عندك seasons that are bad. Probably in the Middle East around Ramadan, I think it's terrible to go and fundraise around that time if you're raising from الخليج. The other thing is that there is also bad time in terms of markets. يعني احنا كنا نعمل car loan refinancing. Car loan refinancing meaning you need to find a better loan. الريتس تبع السند الدولي تبع امريكا كان عم بيطلع طلع من 1% to 7%. So it was horrible time لهيك شركة. We still believe it will work, بس هلا bad time لها لازم يا اما تفلاتن او تنزل. So في عندك كثير bad times. And I guess now that you mentioned this around time, something I didn't mention in this talk, when you're pitching, an investor wants to know you have a big market. Very, very big market. And that's very hard to show. And so it's very hard to show. And I feel like there is a growing trend of people saying, we don't believe these charts around big markets. What we want to see is a niche that's using the product really well. We want to see a niche that's using and paying. Yani, Zakir, I'm going to use you as an example again. You can go and have a pitch that shows all the tuition payments on universities as your TAM, because you're going to replace universities eventually. All right, whatever grandioso move you want to do, let's say that was your pitch on the market. That's great. And it's very hard to get a lot of believers in it. But if you show them you have a cohort of 30 kids with these specifications, paying $20 a month for your software that doesn't require a tutor, and this is all coming to you, and that this is the way you're going to scale it to 200, and then you scale it to 200. Fuck, I'm a believer. I think you know what you're doing. So it's a lot of, again, art, but the art can be framed. You need to put them in a position where they need to start trusting you. ما فيك تروح تقول لهم انا I'm a nobody, عندي شوية credentials انا اشتغل بهالشركة من زمان. This is the market that I believe for this Zacker thing. For them it's like okay, whatever. What matters is showing them the evidence that انك واصل له, and that you deliver on what you believe, and that your contrarian thoughts, you're getting closer to them.
Okay.
Sorry, I got Joe, did I answer you على الأخير?
Kind of, بس أنا I was looking at it from a يعني مثلا let's say أنت you generated revenue, you're still early stage, you're thinking of pivoting because يعني you didn't do product model market fit, etc. So you're thinking about fundraising because you bootstrap. So those times, do you go and say and
No one.
لا.
One of the things that we learned because we pivoted and we were fundraising. We were fundraising and we were like لازم نعمل pivot أو لا, let's fundraise fast لأنه مش عارفين إذا رح تزبط هالبايلوت مع هالشركة الكبيرة. We had 500 agencies signed, but we didn't know إذا رح تزبط. We felt like معقول ما تزبط. So we were rushing into fundraising because we were afraid إنه إذا ما زبطت ما يكون معنا بقى مصاري نكمل نجرب. And so we were in that position. And then that didn't work, the fundraising. كان بعد معنا شي 200,000 بالبنك وكان معنا 4 months runway. That was our situation بقايا. And so what happened is that جربنا, we pivoted so fast وطلعنا بنيو pitch decks كثير. رحنا عند investors again and لهم hey we concluded انه بتزبط, now we pivoted, this is what we're doing, we need raising $500,000 مش 2 million now. Everyone looked at us as if نحن سيارة عتيقة. And no one wants to get into a used car. No one. And so yeah, that's how we kind of had to think differently. And again, I didn't emphasize this on the board, but thinking outside the box is something you use a lot in today's world. But these are moments where بدك تبحبش مخك لتفكر كيف بدي تفكر differently. And the way we did it is actually by raising from customers. There is no one in Silicon Valley that did what we've done. And now we're kind of preaching this playbook of, in the US, wealth, 99% of the businesses comes from SMBs. SMBs and small business of the bedrock of the economies in the US, but also كمان أكيد in Lebanon. في كتير مصاري بال SMB. A business owner معه مصاري. They are able to put in $1,000 to bet on a kid that they believe that can change lives. You have a lot of these folks. وين ما كان موجود. روح على المارينا تمشى. You have a lot of millionaires over there.
Are you indirectly advising us to take small tickets investors? I don't know if my comment was clear.
It depends on what you're building. In my case, I'm building a very verticalized niche product for a niche industry. There is not enough insurance brokers out there. في عندك, let's say, 50,000 businesses. Each one of them at max will pay on average $600 بالشهر. Let's say 500 بالشهر, 6,000 بالسنة. وعندي قد ايه 50,000 منهم. So هيدي تقريبا $300 million TAM. How much are you gonna get from them? 20%? So 60 million, that's kind of the revenue opportunity. Investors don't like businesses that can make 60 million. Now, granted, I'm not just building for them. For me, it's my wedge. I'm penetrating the world of automation and workflows through this lens, and I'm going to scale out of it. But to go raise from a VC بهالسكتر اللي أنا فيه, كان كتير صعب to pitch them $1 billion vision. But when you go to an SMB and tell him, I'm building this, they will not do exactly the math, this is where you're going. So if you don't have a product that's very horizontal, if you have a product that's very niche, that's very limited in scope, grace from customers. If you have a product that caters for big companies from day one, بدك تبيع على Pepsi Cola or KPMG or PwC, you can't raise from PwC. I mean, you can raise from their venture arm, maybe. That would be a strategic investment. But similarly, just like under corporate venture capital, you also have kind of an SMB owner, بينه وبين حاله, بينه وبين جيبته, is asking himself, what do I do with this money? Especially بلبنان, لأنه ما بحطوا مصيرتهم بالبنوك. Now بلبنان في عندك كتير new stuff. هلا فيك تقول تبييض اموال او لا, كل هالمطاعم اللي عم تفتح etc. But you also have a lot of business owners that have money and don't know what to do with it. So بيشتروا يشتروا بهالreal estate, بيشتروا كذا. So you can be like a new asset class for them. That's like, hey, I believe in this kid. He's building software for an industry that I know for a fact, and I think his software is going to save X amount of time. I'm gonna invest 5K 10K in him. بعتبرها ميتة بعتبرها كبيتة. I think you will find people like this. I'm not encouraging you to do it. I'm just telling you this is what I did and it worked. And I think it will work in Lebanon. If I'm in Lebanon now building, I will do this.
Okay, thank you.
Carl, when you say a niche, can you elaborate more? Like, because I heard from niche is not something attractive to investors. So is there
So there are two schools of thoughts. There is the Paul Graham Y Combinator school of thought that says in the beginning you need to build for a niche and you need to do stuff that don't scale. And then when you hit product market fit مع هذا النيش بدك توسع 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 توسع. So you cannot pitch a niche, but you need to build for a niche. The product needs to be for a niche, but you can't pitch to an investor a niche. You need to tell them this is the story. I'm building for this group, but I can extrapolate because all these other groups share similar needs. And when I extrapolate, I think I'm going to become the next company, the next big company. So pitching is different than what you're doing.
It's very
And it's a bit
difficult
hard
to tell.
لأنه بتكأنك عايش حياتين. On one side بس تحكي مع investors عم بتعيش بالأحلام. بس في نفس الوقت when you want to ground them, you ground them in reality. إنه ليكو I have it already. Look عندي subset ماشي. عندي هذا النيش ماشي. إذا they tell you yeah but it's niche, بتقول لهم why do you think it's niche? I talked to all these other clients in other niches that also share the problem. بس هلا we can't be spread out too thin. We have to focus on one niche and make $10 million ARR قبل ما نروح to scale horizontally. You can always like position yourself as like building for the masses, but actually starting with a niche.
Questions, we can take questions.
Okay, since nobody's talking, how about donation-based fundraising?
That's like Kickstarter campaign.
Or something similar.
I don't know if someone wants to donate, sure. بس حسب your product. Is they so flashy? It's a cool product. Yeah.
We're making a yacht, so it's kind of cool. What we're making
Yeah,
is a modern
I think
catamaran.
انت ايه شفته. I think this will fly big. I think this like فيك تروح حتى you need if you invest just a bit of time, position yourself as the friend of all the wealthy guys, everyone would want to buy your product. Like luxury boats. Luxury boat. Don't sell too much sustainability. I mean, Tesla is sustainable to some extent. You can argue the carbon footprint تبعهم اللي عملوا السيارة بالأول بس
A long trip, yeah.
Tesla is sustainable company بس بنفس الوقت بلشوا luxury. I would do the same for you. Luxury وانت عايش بعقر اللوكجري بالميدل ايست.
We went through, let's see how it goes.
Yeah,
I went
I
for
would
it.
بس مش ضروري donation. فيها تكون كمان like pre-order your catamaran.
Step by step, like your niche big picture idea. Step by step.
So what's your first product بهالvision of catamaran?
To go to everybody. So you are my clients and you are not buyers of yachts. You are someone who like to spend a week on a yacht. So I'm renting you the yacht. So this market is easier to enter than the high-end customized yachting section. So that's why we're renting as a beginning, not selling. And because of the technology aspects, it's actually easier to maintain as well as a business model.
I'm happy to spend more time with you, and it's also intriguing لأنه عمي بيا لمرتي he's also like he drives boats, he's a captain بس for fun بيعملها. So it will be fun to speak and see. I don't think he likes to invest in stuff like this, but I think that I'm intrigued in knowing more personally, and also I think I can be of value. So please find some time and let's chat.
I'll connect on LinkedIn. Send you an invitation. Thank you, Carl. Bye-bye.
Other questions today? Has it been helpful? What's the sentiment in the room? So let me see about 466 for you. Let me get back to you. Ekman, what's on your mind? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if you have, I know you fundraised outside of the region, but in terms of spots, channels to find angel investors other than typical introductions from people you know, Is there anything you would suggest on that front?
Can you repeat the question?
I was saying, are there other channels to meet angel investors other than typical introductions from people you know or from your network itself?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, man. يعني just 2 days ago نحن هلا we're looking to recruit front-end engineers, back-end engineers. We're building this browser extension, etc. So I went online and I looked at all these password management systems مثل OnePass, LastPass, MyKey كان بلبنان بعورة JumpCloud. So I looked at all these companies and I filtered by people that come from Lebanon. وشفت شي 5. So شفت 2. I reached out to the 2. One of them can be MyKey. One of them be Dashlane بباريس. هلا هو بPortugal. Both of them responded. And all I'm saying, I'm not saying, hey, I want to recruit you. I'm saying, hey, we're recruiting. I want to connect with relevant talent. This is my company. This is what I'm doing. People respond. Humans بيستحوا يسألوا for help. But the other side of things, people love being asked to help. They love it. It's weird. واحد مستحي يسأل بنفس الوقت العالم عم بيقولوا حدا يسألهم. So just make sure انك تسأل يعني filter on LinkedIn تدفع $60 على LinkedIn لتشوف عالم. هيدي whatever بيسموها pro account and filter شو الاندستري تبعك. You're in the car business عادي filter by people who work at Tesla, at ChargePoint, whatever, and then filter and find Lebanese people. كيف تعرف كانوا بالجامعات يا بي LAU يا بي AUB يا بي NDU يا بي AOU whatever يا بي LIU شو عارف حطهم كلهم هالجامعات وبتشوف مين بيطلع لك and you reach out on LinkedIn. That's like for hiring. Now for angels, similarly, you can get, for example, to know who is the owner of ABC بلبنان. He's not on LinkedIn maybe, but he might be. You can get to people. People underestimate the what it takes to get to people. You can get to people and بس ما تروح لعند عالم تقول لهم هاي with fundraising I want you to be an angel إذا ما بتعرفه. Ask for advice, you'll get money. That's one thing. لازم نكتبها على الوايت بورد. بريف اكتبوها انتوا عندكم. When you're approaching someone for angel money, ask for advice, involve them, let them be involved. And then mention that other people also are investing, but don't ask. When you ask for advice, share them the context, they will say, والله عن جد أنا بدي كمان. Most of the time, this is how it works. هول ال 50 agents اللي استثمروا معنا ولا واحد منهم نطلب منهم يستثمر. In the beginning, one of them was like, hey, yeah, we're going to help you design and build with us. So فتح لي الباب على كل الامبلويز تبعه. Very good. فجأة أعطاني التليفون قال لي Carl, can we help you fundraise? Instead of fundraising from Silicon Valley, I know you're very entrenched in Silicon Valley. I told him, yeah, sure. So he brought 7 folks to invest each one of them 20K checks. And then واحد تاني صار أنا كمان بدي أعمل نفس الشيء. So جبت 30 agents. It was not me going after them and asking. So open yourself and share with the world what you're doing and share with very strategic people. Involve them for advice. شو رأيك الكاتامارون لازم أعمله مع جوانح أو برا جوانح؟ لازم يخليه يطير بالأول أو لا؟ Whatever. Ask them any question. Get them to say their opinions. When people are engaged, they share. ذاكر AI. There is a lot of professors بالجامعة. روح خبرهم شو عم تعمل. خبرهم عن outcome. Involve them. Let them know that في عالم تانيين عم يستثمروا. You will find them saying, جد أنا كمان بدي حط. You know, these are like small experiments you can do and coach.
All right.
Hikmat, what's on your mind?
Hi, Carl. Thanks for the presentation. Very cool. I wasn't very active because we already fundraised, so I was more interested in knowing about investor relations and how do you manage your investor and keep him happy and potentially fundraise from the same guy again in the next round.
Yeah, I think like just keep them in the loop on your every move. Make sure you're communicating, you're emailing them, you're sharing with them your thoughts. Make sure يعني حط انت بالكالندر تبعك book just at least in the beginning now 2 hours a week where you just do some hygiene stuff. شو في قصص بدي اخبرهم اياها؟ لمين بدي اخبر؟ لازم اطلع على كول خبر ولا ايميل is enough. Ask yourself this. حطها على التايم لاين تبعك ما حدا يدق فيها. هيدا it's for you to make sure you have hygiene with your investors. Very simple. That's kind of from their perspective, but also ask them to introduce you to your next funder because then they probably want you to raise from others as well. So من هلا قال لهم let them start يفتحوا لك الباب. تعرف على العالم من هلا وبلش to include them in your discussion. It's a marathon, so treat it as such.
Thanks, Carl.
Questions?
هات نشوف رفيق anything on your side?
Nothing. Everything was clear, and thank you very much for this session, Amjad. It was very, very beneficial.
Excellent.
Okay, Carl, any final words?
I have a question.
Please.
So, is it important to seek investors who maybe understand your industry, not remote, مثلا من your industry, who are more probable to invest?
Of course. Like if you can get someone who understands you know, you don't want to, it's one thing to sell people it's one thing to tell people, hey, I need you to believe in Buddha. And it's another thing to tell them that you create the best tools for you to pray for Buddha. It's to get people who already believe in the industry and what you're doing, not what you're doing, in the space. Get
Yeah.
people who know, understand child therapy, understand the problem. It's a big problem. By the way, Marta, she's a neuroscientist. She studies brain development. If you want to connect
Oh,
with her,
wow.
happy to introduce you.
That would be amazing. Thank you. Quite a
Send me a
family. Very
send
fit
me,
for
send
the
me,
cohorts.
but send me a note. ايه
On
actually it's
LinkedIn.
funny ب MIT فينا نحط الصبي بالدي كير هونيك بس في ويت ليست قال بدك تقدم when he's 3 months بعده ببطن امه. It's
It's
like
true.
really?
It's true. Yeah. The elite
So
daycares are that way. Yeah, it's true.
but it's not very elitist like الاخبار اللي بنسمعها بيرجعوا على البيت حالتهم حالة. But anyways, that's like quick joke, quick thing.
Should I
But yeah,
on LinkedIn?
send me on LinkedIn and I'll connect you guys.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Carl.
Any last thing, Abbas? I used you a lot for examples today. Thanks.
No, everything was clear. Now for our case, we already raised one of the founders invested in the company, but now we're looking to extend our runway. We still have runway till the end of December. We're looking to extend our runway يعني, in 2025 to reach the revenue generating stage or even profitability stage because we have these forecasts in place. Do you think for a 180K investment, shall we look for several angels the way you mentioned it? يعني small tickets from several angels?
How many engineers you have?
نحن the CTO is the full stack engineer and I play a technical role on the AWS infrastructure. But there's one full stack engineer on the team.
Okay. So your question 180K from multiple or from one?
Yeah.
حسب إذا multiple is strategic or not. Multiple خاصه بال whatever
University.
عند ايه مثلا إذا بتجيب الوكيل تبع whatever مين بيكتب الكتب؟ مين الببلشر تبعهم؟
نحن more we're tailoring our stuff for the university curriculums. يعني أنت you mentioned okay what's the difference between you and ChatGPT هلا and when it comes to chatting with a PDF. نحن students will find content on the platform and then they'll be able to chat with it, not only
برافو
chat with
برافو
it. So we're making it easier for the students to find these documents or question banks by collaborating with the professor. So the human element is there and we're powering it by AI, the whole process. هلا, when it comes to strategic partnerships, the best one would be a university deal that will allow us to get their content and then enable their students and professors to use AI to like play around with this content.
Yeah, like a
Integrate.
strategic thing in my view would be اللي بيبيع السوفت وير اللي بيبيع مين بيبيع هيدا شو اسمه؟ كورسير مودل ايه بيبيع السوفت وير so في كتير اساسيات فيك تطلع عليها جرب لاقي حدا in the education space. That's what I would do. في كتير كمان founders in the education space at tech لبنانية أكيد you can find them online. I don't know anyone on top of my mind. وفي كمان قلت لها Yeah, some people might encourage you to go the USAID route and to make it easier for people in disadvantaged economies to work, to learn, refugees وهيك. But that money is not strategic. That money positions you in an NGO type deal. So try to be in the for-profit world, I would say, not take
Okay.
that money.
Okay.
But yeah, like tech founders, and also like I wonder, I mean, the CIO تبع ال AUB involved بinnovation park شو بيقول لك؟ Do they have a budget هن to
For
invest in
this,
such a tool? Yeah, and هن بيدفعوا لانه هيدا التيم IT team البادجت تبعهم المفروض يطلع من البادجت مو اللي بيندفع له من البادجت تبع الاي تي. And so عندهم budget for experiments like this? If so, that's good money.
okay. Okay.
I think as
I'm
you
gonna
make universities pay, that's the best thing. You're like a new operating system for universities. You can replace Moodle eventually. That's how you should position it. This is like your TAM. You're Moodle 2.0. You need to make money from the universities.
We had a meeting with the IT managers recently. The only thing they need an easy integration, and it should be practical for them. يعني,
Yeah.
for example, when it comes to Moodle, the integration and the user journey should be very easy, as much as like a click in Moodle, مثلا practice. The student clicks practice and then he's on Zaker practicing for exams using the AI tools there.
Hello. Bravo.
They need it to be practical.
Bravo. But then you're not storing the content yourself. It's Moodle storing.
Yeah. The university deal will look like this. The B2C model is a big repository of documents and question banks where students can collaborate and professors can create content as well.
Very nice. Good, guys. Well, happy to be of help. Please ping me if you have any questions. You have my LinkedIn, add me, ask me any question. As I said, people love to be asked for help, so I'm one of them, and I will help.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much,
much.
Carl. Thank you for the
All right.
presentation.
Take good care,
Thank
guys.
you.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Bye.